Hello and welcome to Odyssey Motorsport TV's coverage of the Tuesday night main event for Kansas City Racing League Season 9, Round 3 at Le Mans in the GTE cars. I'm TJ Yankee, and with me in the broadcast booth, as always, is Lesean Young-Dilworth. How are you doing tonight, Lesean?
I'm doing well, TJ. I've heard some somber news. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. So, I do want to start off tonight's broadcast on a somber note. Tonight, on my way home from my son's soccer practice, I hit a deer in my car. I am completely fine. The deer got up and ran away, but my 2014 Chevy Spark is not going to make it. So rest in peace, Sparky. I appreciate your 12 years of faithful service. Rest in peace. Press F for respects. Pour one out for a homie. So we hope everyone who participated this last weekend in the Daytona 24 had a great race. I'm sure most of you who participated had their fill of Daytona, the Daytona Road Course. Els and I both participated. We had an absolute great time. With that, let's talk about tonight's session. So tonight's race is round 3 of season 9 of the Kansas City Racing League's Tuesday night main event in the GTE car. We are at the host track of the crown jewel of sports car endurance racing world. That's right, we are at Sarthe de Sarthe, the host track for the 24 hours of Le Mans. We only have 45-minute race tonight, which is going to seem like a blink of an cars. We're pretty much made to run. So it is one of the oldest active racing facilities in the world, hosting the first 24-hour Le Mans 103 years ago in 1923. I personally love the track as a driver. I ran a 24-hour race here last November in a Porsche GT3 in the Global Endurance Tour, and it was an absolute blast. Like I said earlier, after the Daytona 24, most people, myself included, are ready for anything else but more Daytona. That was not the case with me after the 24 hours of Le Mans. I still love this course. I was not tired of it at all after 24 hours. It's that good of a track. So it's absolute Goliath of a circuit, though, coming in at 8.46 miles with 33 turns. It's got a little bit of everything, too. It's got some long straights, low-speed corners, high-speed corners, 2 chicanes after the longest straight on the track, and we are in for some potentially epic battles here tonight. Els, your thoughts on Sarthe de Sarthe? Any specific areas our drivers are going to have to worry about?
TJ, this track is a legendary track. This track has been very difficult for me to actually do some laps on. The first and last sector were my very most difficult parts of the track. The Dunlop curb and the four chicane. The very first bit of turns in the on the track was very much my hardest section, and then the last section with all the chicanes and all the weight transfers at the end there.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a challenging circuit. Like I said, it's not the crown jewel of endurance racing for no reason. So I think personally the 2 braking zones into the chicanes along that Mulsanne straight are going to be a point of high intensity action areas. Braking into Mulsanne, which is at the end of the Mulsanne straight, is going to be challenging, as well as these cars lack ABS. So Indianapolis is also a tough corner, as well as the Porsche and Corvette curves being pretty high-speed corners. A low downforce setting is going to help you a huge amount down these long straights, but you might find it difficult in those higher speed corners. So a balance is going to be important in these drivers' setup. Kansas City Racing League is run by Dakota Knapp. So alongside him, helping with the live race control is Brad Jorgensen, Linda Barkley, and Brett Marshall. Dakota does a great job of staying on top of the league and amending the league rules as needed. He also loves to try out some new things, such as the safety car deployment, which we are still having tonight. I think we may see some conservative calls for the safety car here, just like we did at Bathurst, with a regular lap getting close to 4 minutes. A single lap safety car period will most definitely eat into a significant portion of the race session. Els, what do you think? Will we see a repeat of the safety car deployment style that was utilized in Bathurst last week?
Well, I believe Dakota Knapp is going to be real conservative in the live race control. He's going to be more respectful. I wouldn't say respectful. I would say conservative, as far as it being such a long course. I imagine the drivers will be extra cautious this race because they know about the safety. They know about the safety car, and they don't want to be in safety car the whole entire race. So we're going to see what these drivers have to do tonight.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and talk about our first sponsor for tonight. So Kansas City Race League is Tuesday night main event is brought to you by DLB Precision. Everyone knows that your sim racing rig is never really complete. A new wheelbase, better pedals, a new set of monitors with a high refresh rate. None of it will matter if you don't have a PC that can run the hardware to its full potential. Head over to dlbprecision.com. Every PC is handpicked and assembled to the highest standard. They are started up, tuned, and stress tested before being delivered. The people over at DLB Precision are sim racers themselves, so this is not a PC built by a normal gaming company or marketing firm. They run what they build, and they know the ways to tune your PC to run your sim title of choice with no stutters, no crashes, and bespoke to your needs. So if you're in the market for a sim PC or an update to your current PC, check out dlbprecision.com. A link will be in the video description below. With this being the third round of the championship, here are the pro and AM standings. So I'm just going to read these off really quick. First place is still Drake Smith, Andrew Lanning in second, Neil Salata in third, Michael Rhodes in fourth, Kyle Shook in fifth, sixth is Blaze Scheid, Matt Stallcup in seventh, eighth is David Lestew, who was in the AM category last week. He has been promoted up to pro. Mark Blizzard in ninth. 10th is David Woods, who was also in the AM class last week, and Caden Parks Miller is in 11th, who is also in the AM class last week. Jumping over to the AM points. First place in the AM class, we have Nate Hollistick. Second place, Jacob Wimslow. Glenn Pino is in third. Fourth, Xavier Page. Fifth, Brian Froh. Sixth, Ash Harper. Seventh, Jeremiah Sawdon. Eighth, Daniel Nicholson. Ninth, Zach Williams. 10th, Justin Elliott Road. And 11th is Lance Shellhorn. We might have a couple additional new members this week, but they don't have any points yet because they have not yet completed a race. So before we get into the session, Els and we're going to walk you through an onboard lap of Circuit de la Sarthe here. So this is me earlier yesterday in the Corvette. So we're coming out of that last chicane right now, and we're just going to guide you through everything here. So on to the start finish straight here, the famed Circuit de la Sarthe, home of the 24-hour Le Mans. We're going to be going up towards turn 1, which is going to be a high speed right-hander that is going to go into chicane. Again, these cars no ABS, so you will have to be careful not to lock up. Course cutting is in effect, which is the actual iRacing course cutting. So left, right there, you got a full throttle left-hander into a right-hander that we are going to have to be steady on the brakes, drop down. I drop down to third gear. It's careful to lose the car here under rotation. And then we are taking a right-hander, and we're coming up to this. Lots of track limits and penalty slowdowns on that right-hander right here and on the outside there. We are now on the Mulsanne Straight. Els, why don't you take it away?
Well, the Mulsanne Straight is pretty famous. Everybody knows this long straight. This is where we're going to see lots of drafting, lots of bump drafting, lots of passing into the chicane, which we're going to take a little bit of a cruise because it's a long ways down. That would be turn 10 that we just passed. That was the little bit of a kink. And we're going to be heading into turn 11, braking at the 150, looking for an early apex and another early apex here, and then a late apex right here, and then we're still on the same Mulsanne Straight, and that was the 11th corner. We're going to have another cruise going all the way down to the 12th corner. And TJ, this is your favorite track. I wonder why. What do you actually?
I love the drafting up. Yeah, I love the drafting opportunities and the overtaking opportunities that go into these two chicanes. So go ahead and take it away the rest of the way down the Mulsanne.
In the 12th corner now, we're taking our early apex and more of a late apex here, and you want to cut early here. And then that was the 12th corner, and this little kink right here is the 13th corner. And my favorite corner right here, it's actually pretty difficult. It's because there's like a little bump in the center. It's pretty interesting how these things are translated in the simulator. But this cone right here, you're going to brake. Be wary of the bump. It can unsettle the car. You're going to make the right-hander and try to get a nice late apex and then power out onto the, I don't know what the name of this straight is, but it's another straight. 14 and 15th corner was that corner right there. We're heading over to the 16th corner right now, which is that little bit. And this is now the 17th corner right here, I believe.
Yep.
And we're heading over into the 18th corner, which is here. And this right here is called the Indianapolis, which is the 19th corner. You want to cut it close, enjoy the banking a little bit, and then down into, I don't even know how to say it, it's Arnage, I believe.
That's correct.
To the 20th corner. See, I'm learning.
It is a French circuit, so some of these names, Tetra Rouge, Mulsanne, Arnage, A lot of interesting names here. So again, another long high-speed corner into the famed Porsche curbs. You're going to stay to the left, hit the brakes a little bit, back on the throttle immediately, and then going through the Porsche curves here, that will go into the Corvette curves. So again, you're going to stay to the, you're going to go to the right, hit the brakes, slow down. Be very careful on this left-hander right here. You can get a lot of off tracks and slowdowns. So now we're heading back towards the start-finish straight. This is the Corvette curves here. There's going to be 2 chicanes left. So that is pit entry on the right there. Hard down on the brakes, down into 3rd gear. And then you got to feather the throttle down to 2nd gear, hard on the brakes again. This is the final Ford chicane and back onto the start-finish straight with my lap time being a 350.696. That is a very long lap. Holy cow, that's a lot going on. And we're going to be seeing guys fighting over the same bit of pavement, all while trying to manage that.
I tell you what, TJ, and you know I love to tell you what, TJ, you did a faster lap than me. I actually was practicing for a little bit. I had to try it out. I did a 53, I think. So you got at least 3 seconds on me, bro.
Well, and that's that's the thing. So that 350 is no draft at all, which is going to help a huge amount. You saw how many long straights there are. We are done with qualifying, but it's going to take a minute or two for that to tick over. So we'll just go ahead and keep talking about it. I think the drafting is going to gain a couple of these drivers a couple seconds with how many long straights there are. I'm hoping that there's some really great racing down the Mulsanne. And that there's some great overtaking opportunities in those 2 chicanes into the Mulsanne corner at the end of the straight, and then into Indianapolis and Arnage there. That is, I think we're going to see a lot of really great racing. It's going to be a huge ask from these drivers, though. Again, no ABS. It took me about 4 laps, which that might not sound like a lot, but at almost 4 minutes a lap, that's quite a bit of driving to get it a nice clean lap in the Corvette. So we're going to see if these drivers, their setups is going to help them at all, because if you have too much downforce, you lose a ton of time on those long straights. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, I'm definitely looking forward to it too, TJ. I mean, these guys have a challenge. We all know this Le Mans course. You know, as a driver, it's one of those on the wall. You put it on the wall and look at it like, oh, look at the best course that's ever been, and you know, the amount of legends that have been on this course. These guys are now going to be legends at the end of this race, excuse me.
Absolutely. We're going to see who can be crowned champion of the crown jewel of endurance racing motorsport here at Circuit de Sarthe. Let's go ahead and just talk real quick about the Kansas City Season 9 schedule. So we're just going to go ahead and bring up, we are in round 3 at Le Mans, as you can see there for January 20th. That's tonight. Round 4 is next week. That's going to be at Fuji Speedway. Round 5 will be at the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit. Round 6 will be at Watkins Glen. Round 7 at Sebring International, and then round 8 at Donington Park. So looking forward to all those races as well. I'm super geeked about Circuit de Sarthe here tonight. Like Elle said, this is the race that I really, really enjoy driving, and I think I'm going to have a great time watching these drivers go on it. And looking at my lap time, it looks like I would have been up at the upper portion of the AM class, but definitely not in the pro class. But still a solid lap. It's tough to get it. Like I said, if you don't have the right setup, you lose so much time on those straights. If you get a bad exit out of any of those 2 chicanes or Tetra Rouge going onto the straight, you'll lose 3/4 of a second going down that straight. So we're going to see some crazy different lap times as these drivers are going around, and hopefully everyone keeps it clean. They do get 1 fast repair. That's the other thing. That's why we predict that the safety car deployments are definitely going to be on the conservative side, because you do get a free fast repair. But with the towing being so long here, especially depending on if it's the first half of the lap that you have the incident, even if you don't have to tow, if you have to limp all the way back, you're going to definitely pay for that. But you do get at least 1 fast repair, so hopefully these guys utilize that the best way they can.
And TJ, can we talk a little bit about the cars that we're racing tonight?
Yeah, absolutely.
Which one is your favorite?
Oh, I mean, I obviously I have the Corvette. Being a Motor City native, I had to rep the General Motors. But
Okay.
personally, the sound of the Porsche RSR is just absolutely fantastic. The looks of the Ford GT are pretty great. We do know that the BMW has some, I would say, performance that is very, very well if you can utilize it. But yeah, that's kind of my ranking of these GTE cars. How about you?
Okay. My favorite seems to be the M8. I haven't driven it, but I just like the way it looks. I just like the way it looks. I mean, that might just be a thing with me being me,
Sure.
but the BMW just got that look, and it's been at the top of the grid this entire season so far, and I think we're gonna see it again at the end of this race.
Actually, to point out, Drake Smith is not able to race tonight. He is in that BMW, has won the first 2 rounds, so that might not be the case. We might see Matt Stallcup or Andrew Lanning or Kyle Shook up at the front. We'll see what happens with that. Let's go ahead and pull up our grid for tonight. Your third round of the Kansas City Racing League's Tuesday night main event, on pole, Matt Stallcup with a 3:48.426. That is over 2 seconds faster than the lap time I put in. That is a heck of a lap. So congrats to him for his pole position. Second place, Andrew Lanning. Third place, Michael Rhodes. Fourth place, Zachary Lewis.
And in fifth place, we have Daniel Nicholson. Sixth place, we have Nate Hallistek. Seventh place, we have Xavier Page. Eighth place, we have Glenn Pino.
Yep. Ninth place, we have Blaze Scheid. 10th place, Brian Froh. 11th place, Ash Harper. 12th place, Lance Shellhorn. 13th is not Dakota Knapp. He is race control. Same with Brett Marshall. But 15th, Kyle Shook. 16th, that's you, Lesean, as you're spectating, so you can hear race control. I'm thinking that 15th all the way down, they did not post a lap time, because if you do get an off track, it does invalidate your lap. So 17th is going to be Mark Blizzard. 19th, David Woods. 20th, Jeremiah Sawdon. 21st is Franklin Edwards. 22nd, Jacob Winslow. And that is our starting grid for tonight.
I'm actually getting comms from the race chat here. They're actually saying there will actually be no full course yellows on this track for obvious reasons.
Wow.
Which I think was the great decision by Dakota Knapp Race Control.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's going to be a tough thing to not just have the entire session be safety car period. So yeah, 100% that makes sense. As we are waiting for the safety car to take off here, and Matt Stallcup is going to lead them down on a short parade lap, which is probably about the length of a regular parade lap on a normal course, as they're just over halfway to the start-finish line here. So we'll see how the fuel burn-off is going to affect these cars with no tire changes. We'll see if that is going to be something with lockups. Again, we got a lot of high-speed sections that go into very low-speed corners. Who knows what's going to happen? Just a real quick word of note, these GTEs are slightly different from the GT3. So they're a little bit faster. They have a little bit more power, a little bit more downforce. So once again, that draft, a car that has more downforce is going to displace more air. So if you can get in a draft behind one of these cars, you're going to have a huge advantage. So I think we're going to see a lot of leapfrogging if two cars are close in pace.
I'm hoping to see it. Definitely going to be an interesting race, as it usually is at KCRL. Definitely a league that you want to take a look at, because these guys do not play around when it comes to racing. And this simulation here, I got to give it to them. It makes it intense and fun to watch, fun to drive. And we're going to see some good racing tonight, TJ.
Absolutely. As we are heading through the Corvette curves here, still got a little ways where you're going to see pit entry on the right after these Corvette curves, and then through the Ford chicane, and then on to the start-finish straight, where green flag will be waving for our third round of the Kansas City Racing League Season 9 at Circuit de la Sarthe, 24 Hours in Le Mans circuit. I think we're going to have a lot of fun. I'm hoping everyone gets through clean. again, with no ABS, we're going to see a couple people lock up, I think, at some point. Hopefully no one is collected.
Hey, TJ, who do you have your bets on this week?
Andrew Lanning has been pretty solid without Drake Smith being here. I'm hoping that he's able to capitalize, as we are green, and Matt Stallcup, Andrew Lanning are going to be taking these guys down as the front four just absolutely walk away from the rest of the field. That is your pro class for tonight. Oh, a little bit of paint rubbing there into the turn one. Here we go into turn two. Let's see what happens. Looks like everyone keeps it clean so far. Matt Stallcup leading, Andrew Lanning in second, Mike Rhodes in third.
Surprised to see no lockups, no major incidents. The guys are actually putting a very good show on already. Onto the longest straight of the course, I believe.
Yeah. Mulsanne Straight, which is actually those two chicanes. They actually broke it up from the 1960s. This used to be a straight from start to finish. They put the chicanes in there to slow everyone down. We got a couple course cuts that back there. I think I told you that corner onto the Mulsanne Straight. If you do cut that either on the outside or the inside, you will get slowdown. So you got to be careful for that as they go through that first chicane for the first time. This is turn 11. Still clean. Matt Stallcup right on the back of Andrew Lanning as he overtook him on the Mulsanne Straight. Once again, we're seeing some course cuts going through that second chicane. Side by side down the Mulsanne Straight, heading down towards the second chicane. We're going to see this leapfrogging left and right because these cars put down so much downforce. They display so much air. The draft is going to be huge.
Yeah, you should be seeing at least 2 or 3 seconds more on their lap time, or less on their lap time. These guys are going to be flying down this course.
We're going to jump on board with Andrew Lanning. We'll see if this isn't quite as long of a straight, but you're going to see how difficult this Mulsanne corner is. You got to turn right at top speed, hit the brakes without locking up, and then you have a tight right-hander. So he is able to close that gap just ever so slightly. Watch out for the gravel on the outside. And onto another really long full throttle with a couple of small curves in it. That front four it's absolutely broken away. Kyle Shook behind Blaze Scheid. He's looking for a pass there as well. I mean, these guys are keeping it very tidy, especially being on cold tires. It does take almost an entire lap to get the brakes and tires up to temperature. Since these guys are keeping it clean, we're going to jump back to some of these other drivers and see what they are up to. On board with Nate Hollistick right now.
It seems like they're all keeping it orderly and tidy, looking very behaviorally sound.
And it looks like there's essentially 3 packs with a couple stragglers in between right now. Nate Hollistick. Yeah, Nate Hollistick taking a look on Glenn Pino. This is for second in the AM class, so let's see if Nate can do something about this as they head through the Porsche and Corvette curves. Still on the back of him, looking left and right, filling his mirrors up. Now coming into the Ford chicanes. There's your pit entry on the right there. So far, for the most part, everyone is keeping it pretty darn clean. I think Xavier Page just got... Oh, Jacob Winslow is going into the pits. I don't know if he has some damage. Can't tell what's going on there. Oh, we got a car off in the back. Ash Harper? That was Lance Shellhorn. Lance Shellhorn had an off in the Ford chicane onto the start-finish straight. Seems to be back up and going. I don't think he had any damage. I think it was just a self-spin on the outside of that corner. Jake Winslow is...
TJ.
Yes, sir.
Getting comms from race control, it seems that we had a drive-through penalty for Jacob Winslow.
Gotcha.
Incident responsibility is the description.
Okay, well, that explains why he dove into the pits, did his drive-through penalty. Right now, looking up at the front, Matt Stallcup's just kind of walking away. Andrew Lanning back in fourth.
Also, I'm seeing a black flag from Michael Rhodes, and I think it was by race control, so it must have been another incident issue.
We missed something somewhere because Andrew Lanning is back pretty far.
Yeah, Andrew Lanning had the drive-through penalty, I believe.
No, he's still right here. Remember he was fighting with Matt Stallcup up at the front.
Oh, it was Jacob Winslow. Excuse me.
Yep.
Oh wow, I don't know what actually happened. Is there any way we could take a look?
Yep. I see Andrew Lanning crash. So let's, as they get onto this straight again, we will take a look at what happened with Andrew Lanning. So going into turn one, he's in second place right here. That's Matt Stallcup up ahead. Oh, the rear just locked up on him.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Easy to happen with these non-ABS cars. Just too hard on the brakes.
Nope.
The back end just goes out.
There was contact. There was contact behind him. So I think that's Neil Salata. Yep. Neil Salata just got into the back end of him there. So that is what happened with.
Do you think he may have locked up and gone into that? Like,
I'm not
very
not entirely sure. I didn't see any smoke coming from the tires of Neil Salata, so I'm not sure if that was the case with him. But he did close that gap incredibly fast. As Andrew Lanning is trying.
That draft.
Yeah, it could have been that too. Andrew Lanning trying to make his way through the AM class back up to the front where the pros are. Right now he's running 6th overall. As he kind of threads his way through this AM class field, we know he has pace because that first race at Road Atlanta, him and Drake Smith were very close. He was also close with Matt Stallcup and Kyle Shook as the three of them fought for a podium. As he takes, oh my goodness, goes through. Yeah, what a move through the S's there.
And you can see him catching oversteer. He's really pushing that car.
Yeah, he's trying to make up for that off. Hopefully he doesn't have any damage. I don't know if he's going into the pits. It does not look to be so. Ooh. Lock up from the BMW, and he will lose control. That is, I believe that was Xavier Page or Glenn Pino. That's Glenn Pino.
Oh, and that's one of the worst places to have a spin.
Yeah, but, hats off to him for rejoining in a safe manner. He waited until everything was clear and then continued onward. So, thank you for that. See, we're going to look at Kyle Shook real quick. Kyle Shook switched cars. He went from the Corvette to the Porsche. He's currently in 4th in the AM class. He is in 10th overall, so I think he might have had an off as well. Or maybe even a slowdown penalty if he cut one of those corners. So that's a lot of things that can happen, especially this field as the different levels of drivers with the Pro-Am split. They're going to sprint out, and with the track being so darn big, it's just going to be tough to find everyone. We're going to jump over to David Woods as he is taking a look on Brian Froh ahead of him in the BMW. Once again, we're going to see a lot of this leapfrogging as these cars utilize that draft up and down these super long Mulsanne straight.
Ooh, Kyle Shook looking up the inside as well. Unable to stick it though.
Yep, I think he's going to be able to get it going down this straight. He'll just get it based off of the draft. Again, these cars put out, they have a lot more downforce than the regular GT3 cars, so get that extra low pressure system behind the car, able to take advantage of that as he looks on the outside as they come up to the next chicane. Kyle gets by Brian Froh. I saw some smoke in the background at the first chicane. See, David Woods had an off track. We will take a look at that really quick. Oh, yep, just didn't brake enough. It is tough. I mean, you're going so fast going through those, going through that straight to slow down to such a slow pace for these chicanes. It can be really tough, especially if you haven't had the time to practice this course, because it's so hard to practice because it's such a long circuit.
Definitely a long circuit. I have to agree. It took me at least 6 or 7 laps to get a 50, 53.
By the way, we are almost 11 minutes into this session. We are only on lap 3. That's how enormous this track is. So it's a behemoth. It's you know, like I said, it's the crown jewel of endurance motorsports racing for a reason. Like I said, as a driver, it's absolutely fantastic to drive. Let's just see, David Woods just dropped out. Not sure what's going on with that. Just said he jumped to the pits. I don't see. Okay, I see David Woods went off track. Let's see what happened here. Oh, that's Indianapolis, and hits the wall and parks it. So, not sure why he decided to do that, but he did, as Matt Stallcup now has a 12, almost 13-second lead over the Blaze Scheid. He is in a class of his own right now. Let's see if there's any other close races. Let's see, Kyle Shook is within 2 seconds of Xavier Page. As they go through the 4 chicanes onto the start-finish straight. And that's the Cookie Monster. Xavier Page's Cookie Monster up ahead of him. That's Andrew Lanning in front of Xavier Page as well. So he has worked his way back up through this field. Glenn Pino has a meatball and he's in the pit lane. Trying to see if there's anything in the log that shows what happened with him. Let's take a look real quick. I see he went off track. So looking at that, oh, this was that spin that we saw the last lap. So that was from a while ago. I don't know why he went through the pit lane there, but he did.
What was the name of that driver?
Glenn Pino.
Nothing from comms or from race control saying anything about it. So I am unsure as well.
As Kyle Shook taking a look at Xavier Page as they head through the first chicane on the Mulsanne Straight, side by side down the Mulsanne Straight. They're going to get all the way up to about 185, 190 miles an hour again with the downforce on these cars. The GT3 cars actually go faster on the straights because they have less drag on them. But we see Andrew Lanning taking a look on Nate Halsick up ahead of Kyle Shook. Excuse me, no, that's Daniel Nicholson that is behind him that he overtook going into that chicane. Tell you, Andrew is on a mission to get back up into where Blaze Scheid is. He's only 4 seconds behind him, so let's see if Andrew can make that happen. As we see Daniel Nicholson, he's able to utilize that draft and take the inside going into the Mulsanne corner. Now Andrew Lanning's going to do the up and under and the switch up. And now they're a drag race down to Indianapolis.
Classic defensive move. One of the best defensive moves you can make on a straight like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I've had a feeling that we'd see a lot of this leapfrogging, and that seems to be the case. That draft is just so powerful in these cars with these long straights. Look at that defensive move by Andrew Lanning, filling up the road with that Ford GT. and claiming his position. He is in third in the AM class. Oh, as he overcooks it. As soon as we said it, he overcooks it. And he goes back to the pits. I think he just left out of frustration, unfortunately. Oh, man, that's unfortunate.
For Andrew Lanning. He was looking good on the track. Unfortunate for him, man.
Absolutely, as he was working his way back up the order, putting on some great moves, but unfortunately overcooks it going into that corner and toes back to the pits. So let's take a look at Daniel Nicholson. That's who Andrew Lanning was close to. He had passed him. Now Daniel Nicholson is taking a look at Cookie Monster Xavier Page. So I see a yellow by Xavier's name, so he must have cut the Porsche curves or the Corvette curves there as they head into the Ford chicanes, which is right before the start-finish line. Zachary Lewis threw down a 3:51, is the lead driver of the AM class, so that's a pretty darn quick time. Xavier Page took a look on the inside of Daniel Nicholson, but thought better of it going into turn one. Let's see what happens as they get ready to go through the S's, the Dunlop curve, and in onto the Mulsanne straight, and see if we see that game of leapfrog happen once again down the Mulsanne. So going through the S's, this is that last corner called Tetra Rouge right there. If you cut that corner on the inside and then ride out too far, you will get a 1 second slowdown penalty, and that is going to absolutely kneecap you going down this straight. Did not have that happen this time. Devastating penalty, yes.
Devastating penalties on this track. Anywhere you go that is slightly off, you're going to get an incident point. You're going to get a slowdown, and it's going to destroy your run. So
actually, now that you mention that, Els, very interesting about this track on iRacing. There are many places that you will get a slowdown, but not an incident point. So that is one of them. That turn Tetra Rouge onto the Mulsanne straight, you'll get a 1 second slowdown, but it will not give you an incident point. So very interesting that that's how they decide to do that for Circuit de la Sarthe on iRacing, but that is how it is. That's very interesting.
Well, it is more punishing.
Locked up the rears there. I don't know if there was some contact before that. It didn't seem like it. I think that was just a self-spin.
Oh, and that car is all banged up. He might have to go into the pits. I don't think he'll be able to plug it.
We're going to have to take a look at that. I don't know at this. I think that was just a self-spin. That damage might have already been there. I think under braking, I think the car just pulled to the left and he hit the wall. That is unfortunate for him. As you can see, that damage on the driver's side rear, or driver's side rear if you're an American. This is over in France, so that I guess would be passenger side rear. Yeah, so we'll see what happens with him, Daniel Nicholson, if that affects him. They do get a single fast repair of 50% fuel, so if they stop for fuel, that might not actually hurt him too much because he's going to have to stop for fuel anyway. It will instantaneously repair one time, and he might be all right. Just getting a notification that Lance Shellhorn crashed. Let's go ahead and see what happened with that. Again, with the cars so spread out. This is going into turn one. Yep, he took a little bit too much curb and just self-spun there. Got to be careful with these cars. Easy to upset them.
Yeah, very difficult cars to drive. I can say so myself. Different from the GT3s. And you got to be careful. You got to tiptoe with the car, essentially.
Yeah, it's a real interesting kind of knife edge because the car does have more downforce, so you can really throw it into the corners more. But again, with that ABS, and look at the left side of that rear wing, it's got damage on it. Let's see if Daniel Nicholson jumps into the pits here to repair that and probably fuel up to the end of the race. We are just under halfway, almost 20 minutes in. Yep, he's going into the pits. He's going to get his fuel for the rest of the race and then get that fast repairs. We see multiple people diving into the pit lane. Look at everyone diving into the pit lane. Look at this. Matt Stallcup, obviously the first out as he was the first in. Kyle Shook is away. Oh, that wasn't Kyle Shook. That was, that was Zachary Lewis in the Corvette. I forgot that we changed. As we got Shook and Nate Hollistick going side by side in the pit lane. I think he crossed the line. He might get a black flag. Shook might get a black flag for that.
Possibly.
I don't know if he crossed that white line, and I don't know where that. I don't see the black flag by his name, so I think he's going to be all right. That was close.
That was pretty risky for Kyle Shook there.
Absolutely.
But he managed to pull it off.
Yeah, as they had a drag race with the pit limiter on, which is always exciting. But he ends up getting out first, and he is now pulling away from Nate Hollistick, who is trying to catch back up to him here.
He might just be outside of the draft range, unfortunately for Nate. What is it? Nate Hollistick? Excuse me?
Yep, Nate Hollistick. We're going to take a look at Daniel Nicholson because he is racing side by side with somebody. So this is Daniel Nicholson who got, as you can see, that rear wing and probably that rear bumper is going to be nice and fixed. So even though we are in France, driver is on the left side of the car. So that was driver's side damage that he had. Oh,
great observation. Oh no,
Michael Rhodes locked up going into that chicane. Not sure if he hit the wall or not. That wasn't Michael Rhodes, excuse me. That was Jeremiah Sodden. Doesn't look like he had any damage to the car, just overcooked it and had to slowly get back onto the racing line. I'm going to jump back to Jacob Winslow as he is on the rear end of Ash Harper. As they come up to that second chicane, and we got a little bit of dueling going side by side into the second chicane. Jacob Winslow got the inside, and he is going to take the position on Ash Harper as they go through that second chicane. Let's see if they do leapfrog again during the next full speed portion into Arnage. Ash Harper fighting back, filling up the mirrors of that Ford GT with his Porsche. Here they come into the double right-hander that is Arnage. It is a slow speed corner, so let's see if they keep it clean. Jacob Winslow going to keep the position. What a move down into that chicane on the Mulsanne straight. Props to him.
Great move. Great move. Definitely some good racing from Jacob Winslow right there.
So to point out that Jeremiah Sodden just got passed by Brian Froh. So as we were going down that Mulsanne straight, this BMW of Brian Froh was behind Jeremiah Sodden. He has been able to take that position on him. Yeah, Brian Froh is starting to pull away from him. The gap is getting bigger and bigger as they go down into the Porsche curves. We're going to jump back to Ash Harper and Jacob Winslow because they are the closest on track. It's the battle that we just saw going into Arnage as Ash Harper is trying to reclaim that position. Oh, did Jacob Winslow just had an off right in front of him? Let's see what happened there. Yep. Just went wide. Probably hit the brakes just a little too late in that corner. If you do that, the car just doesn't want to grip because you're going too fast. Unfortunate for him. We're going to jump up to Glenn Pino, who is part of this trifecta here. He's overtaking Jeremiah Sodden and trying to catch back up to Brian Froh, who was behind both of these cars for a while there. This is for 5th and 6th in the AM class. Glenn Pino really made up some time in that and the Dunlop curbs there. Now going through the S's. Oh, what a drift. I wasn't quite, I mean, is able to keep it from going all the way around, but maybe he had his brake bias a little too far to the rear as the back's locked up going through the S's there. He's also going to get passed by Ash Harper here if he's not careful going on to the Mulsanne. Unfortunate as Glenn was making a move towards Brian Froh. Jeremiah Sodden ends up taking advantage of that mistake and jumps into 6th position in the AM class. Els, what surprised you the most so far with these cars, these drivers on the track tonight?
Well, I'm actually surprised that they're one keeping it on the track, because these cars have no ABS, meaning that the wheels can lock up under braking, whether it's front or back. Yeah, we saw a couple.
Sure.
Just to see that they are on the track still racing is an achievement in itself, because these cars are not easy to drive. I'll tell you myself, but they are fun to drive.
Yeah, it's a real interesting thing because it's a high risk, high reward, and at least in my opinion, it is so satisfying when you get it right, but it is so easy to just tiptoe across the line into a lockup, into a slide, or into an understeer if you're going too quickly. So absolutely, yeah, it's been a real clinic for most of these drivers, keeping it on the track. Glenn Pino holding that drift and not having the car turn all the way around, that's very difficult to do in iRacing, especially with these cars. So, props to him for keeping it pointed mostly in the right direction. Let's jump up.
Wow, this BMW looks pretty good to me. I like the way it looks with the brown and the teal. Very interesting color combination there.
Yeah, it's simple but stylish, I would say.
Absolutely today.
Pulling away from Ash Harper, we're going to jump to Franklin Edwards in the Corvette. He is an 11th in the AM class right now, with Lance Shellhorn in the background of the two Corvettes. I was going to say something about the Corvettes not being very strong here, but Zachary Lewis is in P1 in the AM class in a Corvette, so it might just be their setup. They might have had an incident, but they are continuing on. See someone else that we haven't had a look at yet tonight, because actually we're going to jump back to Glenn Pino because he has caught up to Ash Harper here in the BMW that we were just watching before. He's less than a second gap to him as they head through the Porsche curves here. And that's the thing, these Porsche curves, the Corvette curves, they look simple, but they're deceptively difficult. Really easy, as you see. Oh, Ash Harper rejoins, but almost hits Glenn Pino, but is able to not do so. Real easy to go wide at those corners. Real easy to lose the car, so quite the challenge for these drivers to keep it on the track and put in, solid lap times. So we go through the Ford chicanes, which is right before the start-finish line.
Yeah, TJ, the last sector of this track is extremely difficult. Those weight transfer back and forth, left and right, they really take a toll on the drivers here.
Jacob Winslow looking up the inside to turn 2. Takes the position as they go under the Dunlop bridge. And he is into 8th position. Yeah, and that's the duality of this circuit. So there's going to be certain places that certain cars are just stronger than the others, and then other portions of the track, the opposite car is going to be stronger. So how do you do that delicate dance to get the most out of the car? It's a real challenge, and these guys are really going at it here. And this is back, 7th, 8th, and 9th, and it's just as ferocious as if it was a top 10 as Jacob Winslow goes ahead and takes the position. Excuse me. Glenn Pino takes the position back over Jacob Winslow with the draft on the Mulsanne. So, as we said before, I think the BMW has a lot of straight line speed. Maybe it's the setup that he has. But Jacob Winslow fighting back as they head back down the second portion of that Mulsanne straight towards the next chicane, which is going to be a left and a right instead of the right and the left. Takes a look up the inside into the chicane, side by side. I think he's got clear of him, but he's going to take a look on Ash Harper as well. Nope, he ducks back in at the last second. Great move by Jacob Winslow. Oh, Glenn Pino overcooked it there. Yeah, we had a lockup from Glenn Pino. He was a part of this battle. I think you'll see, you'll see the smoke. Right there, just overcooked it a little bit in the second portion of that.
Yeah, all it takes is just a little bit of too much pressure, and you're locking up. You're just locking it up.
Absolutely, and as the cars with ABS, when you're going at top speed, you have a lot more downforce, right? So you can push the brakes a lot harder because the car is being pressed into the ground really hard, as Ash Harper is taking a look on Jacob Winslow. Then you got to ease off the brakes. So if you don't ease off the brakes, that's where the lockup happens. You hit the brakes really hard at top speed. Car's being pressed into the ground. It's got all the grip. And then as that speed bleeds off, so does the downforce. As he takes a look on the outside here, Ash Harper on Jacob Winslow tucks back in as they go into Indianapolis. Heading into Arnage, which is another slow speed corner. Who can get the better exit? Oh, goodness, as Jeremiah Sarthe has an off behind them. I don't know if you saw that going into Indianapolis.
No, I actually missed it. Oh, no. Unfortunate. That's not a good-looking Porsche right there.
No, it is not. Unfortunate for him. We'll see what happened. I think he just overcooked it, and then we will jump back to the duel that we were watching on track. Oh, yeah, he's having real trouble there. That car is not in good form. Oof.
Oh, not anymore.
Took too much of the curb.
Too much of the curb right into the wall.
Right into the wall. That front end is in trouble. In trouble. So he is going to limp back to the pits. Let's jump back up to these guys. He's got the meatball, Jeremiah Sarthe, Glenn Pino. It's back on it. Ash Harper. Jake Winslow was able to pull out a lead on Ash Harper. Oh, taking a lot of those curbs there. You see that Daniel Nicholson in the pit lane. Not sure if he didn't stop for fuel yet. We have just over 10 minutes left in the session so far, and we're only on lap 9. 33 minutes into the session, we're only on lap 9. That is wild.
Huge circuit. This Le Mans circuit here takes at least 4 minutes to get around, which is a challenge in itself.
Sorry, jumping. I saw some positions being changed here up towards the front. They had been so spaced out that that hadn't been something I'd been looking at. But Kyle Shook reeling in, or being reeled in by onto Michael Rhodes here for second position in the pro class. So they're on the second portion of that Mulsanne straight. Kyle Shook looks on the inside. Oh, a little bit of contact as they go into the chicane. Kyle gives him the position back. So good on Kyle for giving that position back, but ooh, rubbing his racing for sure as the two Porsches are going toe-to-toe down the Mulsanne into the chicane. Let's see what happens as they go into Mulsanne corner here.
The drivers are actually on comms. They're actually apologizing to each other for the contact. That's the sportsmanship we like to see in KCRL league here. These guys are very aware of each other all the time, but sometimes the contact happens and all you can say is sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we saw, Kyle Shook could have fought him into that chicane. He actually eased back and allowed him to take the position back. So, good sportsmanship, good driving all around, especially at top speed there going into that chicane. a tiny movement from the wheel is going to sorry, I was just looking at Jeremy Clarkson on the side. There's Kyle Shook has an off, and Blaze Scheid's going to take advantage of that, but not get the job done as Shook goes on the defense, but Blaze Scheid back on his rear bumper again as they got another long run up to Indianapolis. Are they going to get side by side? They are. Let's see what happens as they head up towards Indianapolis here. Scheid slightly ahead. He's on the inside. Ooh. Blaze Scheid taking third position, the final podium position in the pro class. Shook still fighting. Not giving up just yet, but what a move by both of these cars as Blaze Scheid goes wide in the Porsche curves. And Shook takes a position back.
I don't know if that might have been an off track right there. That looked pretty wide.
That was pretty wide, but I didn't see a yellow flag come up as Shook is going to dive into the pits. I don't know if he's got... I don't know if he's got damage or if... I don't know what's going on with that. Now that
black flag?
I don't see the black flag on the scoring tower, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't have one. With him diving into the pits, that was the closest battle up towards the front. But Mark Blizzard is fighting with Daniel Nicholson here for 7th and 8th in the AM class. Look at that picture. That is quite the fish-eyed lens he's got on there. That makes the brim of his hat look like it's 15 feet long. Mark Blizzard trying to reel in Daniel Nicholson as he dives into the pit again. So I'm not sure what's happened. Maybe a couple people missed the pit. I'm pretty sure Kyle Shook pitted the first time in. So I don't know if these are drive-through penalties or not. Brian Froh also in the pit lane. And with that, our closest fight is going to be Xavier Page here, with Nate Hallistick up in front of him, as you can see there.
Hey, TJ, isn't there a fuel percentage limit?
Yes.
That has been implemented? I believe that maybe they might be coming in just for a splash.
Yeah, that's true. With at a full tilt, this being a 3 minute and 50 some second lap, they might be worried that the white flag waves, and you have to do another lap. It's another 8+ miles. So that might be the reason for the second pit stop from these guys. They might be having fuel calculators that are saying, hey, you got to pit one more time. You need a splash and dash. So let's see if that ends up being a problem for some of these front drivers that might not have pitted yet. I see Mark Blizzard.
Well, this course being so big, the pit strategy is very important. I mean, if you miss the pit window, you're basically SOL at that point, right?
Yeah, you are cooked. You're not going to make it all the way back around unless you're just absolutely coasting in like 6th gear at 100 miles an hour. So that's absolutely something. I see a black flag for both Mark Blizzard and Franklin Edwards. So not sure if those are 11X drive-throughs, but they both have black flags. Yeah, absolutely, Els. With this being such a Goliath circuit, and there only being 50% fuel, because I've only raced this track with a full endurance setup. So that's a full tank of gas. You basically just run it until it says you have less than a lap left. Then you dive in. So having only 50%, not something that I looked into the calculations and how many pit stops that they would have to do, especially with so much of the lap at full throttle. They're using the maximum amount of fuel,
Definitely, TJ. That could possibly be what's happening here. I'm not really sure how the pit strategy and the fuel strategy would be in a race like this with 50% fuel and it being this long. So that might be the best inference.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to have driver post-race interviews, so maybe we'll get some of that information to the viewers, and they will know what's going on with that fuel strategy after the drivers tell us. So that's something that will be very interesting. I was not expecting 2 stops, but All very good points. Matt Stallcup stops again. I think that's exactly what you said it was. They needed to stop 2 times for fuel. That is what's happening. Michael Rhodes in second. We got Zachary Lewis as well.
I'm pretty sure the drivers were actually surprised as much as we are, because that's not very, very usual in a 45-minute race.
No, and I mean, that's just not been the case for the first 2 rounds, right? Yeah, look how short that pit stop was. They just need a splash to make it to the end. As with us being in the 41st minute here, this is the final lap. Can you check to see if the white flag is out?
I do not have any notification about the white flag, but this must be the white flag. We have 4 minutes and 25 seconds. And the lap is almost, it could be the second to last lap.
That might be why everyone's stopping, because for most of the other circuits, an extra lap's not going to be that huge of a deal. But here, oh no, I got to go an extra lap. I need to put another few gallons in.
Right.
It's Blaze Sheed and Kyle Shook are now fighting for that final podium position. Blaze on the back of Shook here, as we saw Shook dive into the pits a lap earlier than the other leaders. Sheed going up the inside. Oh, a little bit of contact there as they head towards the chicane on the Mulsanne straight.
And the overspeed on that BMW is crazy right now.
Absolutely. Like I said, I think we both agree it's got the straight line speed. So let's see if Shook fights back in the twisty bits as we go back down the Mulsanne again towards the second chicane, trying to break the draft. Absolutely, making that car as wide as possible.
I mean, the way these guys driving, you would think it's white flag.
I think you might be right. If that's the case, once Matt Stallcup gets close to that start-finish line, we will jump back unless these two are, side by side. But I think you might be correct. I think that might have been the white flag that they were coming up to. They knew they weren't going to make it another lap, so they jumped into the pits as Kyle Shook is going back on the attack as they head towards Mulsanne. Not quite able to get to the side beside Blaze Scheid. Again, I think that BMW just has the straight line speed as they are now side by side going into Mulsanne corner. Blaze Sheed on the inside. Kyle Shook not giving up. He's on the outside. Side by side they are through as they're heading on to another long full throttle bit. Let's see if that BMW has the extra muscle to get in front of the Porsche. Kyle Shook, this is for third in the Pro class.
I got to give Kyle Shook that his props. That was a move to stick right there.
Still side by side.
Still side, and they're making contact too. These guys are really in it right now.
They go into Indianapolis. Kyle Shook probably going to try to do the over-under here. They still have Arnage, which is going to be the right-hander, another slow right-hander. And then, we're running out of time here for Kyle Shook to make his final move if this is the final lap. Now they head down another long straight into the Porsche and then Corvette curves, then the Ford chicane, and that's the end of the lap. So this is the Porsche curves here. As Blaze Sheed pulls out a little bit, but you see Shook closing up that gap. Is he going to be able to make something happen? Still on the rear bumper. I don't know if he's got it. We're going to see what happens in the Ford chicane as he closes the gap again. He's taking a look on the inside. Now the outside. All right, here we go. These are the low-speed Ford chicanes as they're weaving back and forth. He pulls back behind him. I don't think he's going to be able to get him. Matt Stallcup pulls across in first place in the Pro class. Blaze Sheed is going to take third. Michael Rhodes is in second. Kyle Shook in fourth, but what a finish from these two for that final podium position. Wow. Els, this is what we as viewers want to see, right? But as broadcasters, this is great stuff.
Yes, TJ. We're on white flag right now.
Oh, okay. Sure. We're at Don't see the checker flag. So we're on the white flag. So we got a whole nother lap of this. So these two are going to duke it out. Oh, as Kyle Shook avoids the contact but locks up a little bit. Let's see if he can reel him back in, and we can continue this fight from the last lap.
Kyle Shook looked like he went a little bit wide there onto the straight. That's going to be a slowdown, possibly. I don't know if he got a
Yep,
black
I
flag.
see the yellow flag. He got the slowdown. That might be the end of this battle. Is before the end of the chicane coming up here, he's going to have to serve that 1 second. And, yep, there he goes right there. He drops back to serve that penalty. That is unfortunate for him. That was some great racing by these two, but I think Blaze Scheid is going to take third place unless we see a lockup or something that goes wide, or if Kyle can really throw down some pace here on the final lap as they head down the second portion of the Mulsanne Straight toward the second chicane on the Mulsanne Straight. We're going to keep an eye on this Delta, but right now we got Glenn Pino reeling in Ash Harper. It's less than a second as you see that portion front of Ash Harper. This is for 7th and 8th in the AM class. As right now, your pro leader, Matt Stallcup, going through Indianapolis into Arnage. Ahead of these guys as Glenn's going to take a look on the inside, but not quite get there in time. He's going to have another opportunity in the second Mulsanne chicane. Oh!
Oh, no. Not on white flag.
Not on the white flag. Ash Harper overcooks it into that chicane. And remember, no tire changes, so I think, yep, hit the throttle a little too early there.
Actually, TJ, I realized these cars do not have the same temperature of or temps that the GT3s have. I wonder if the hard tires just couldn't keep the temp in, and the degradation just allowed for that to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, a lot of high-speed corners as we see Matt Stallcup come through the Ford chicanes for the final time. He is going to take the pro win here at Le Mans. He is crowned the champion of Le Mans. Look at him. Oh, goodness, going around here, going back and forth, celebrating with style. Next up is Zachary Lewis. He's going to take P2 as he comes out of the Corvette curves onto the Ford chicanes to take second position. Or no, sorry, excuse me. This is Zachary Lewis who's taking first in the AM class. Michael Rhodes right behind him, second in the pro class. Blaze Scheid still being hunted by Kyle Shook, but there's not enough track left. Blaze Scheid's going to take that final podium position, but not without a huge effort from Kyle Shook to try to get it back. He gives him the flash. Good racing to both of them. That was really exciting on that final lap. Jumping back to Nate Hollistick, he's second in the AM class. He takes that. Xavier Page taking third place in the AM class. And we still have quite a few people that are finishing up their laps. Daniel Nicholson coming in fourth place just outside the podium. Congratulations to him. Jacob Winslow, we saw him have some really awesome moves. Gives us the flash as he completes 45 minutes of Le Mans here for round 3 of the Kansas City Racing League. Brian Froh takes 6th. Glenn Pino, as we saw him put up another driver putting up some great moves, had a couple offs though. He's going to come in 7th. Lance Shellhorn is all the way back at Indianapolis. So we are going to have some time as him. Franklin Edwards is the last of those drivers that are on track. It'll be Lance Shellhorn in 8th, Jeremiah Sodden in 9th, Mark Blizzard in 10th, Franklin Edwards in 11th, Ash Harper and David Woods are out of the race with wrecks. Well, I can't say that this was boring. This was quite a show that these drivers put on tonight, especially for that third place between Blaze and Kyle. That was absolutely awesome. Unfortunate for Andrew Lanning. He definitely had the pace that he dropped out of the race after that second incident. But still, again, these GTE cars are definitely, they were designed to run the 24-hour Le Mans, so they're kind of designed for this track. So we knew we were going to see some fireworks. Els, what did you think of the session tonight?
Oh man, these guys really put on a show tonight. KCRL, very respectful league, as I always say, and I'm actually pretty impressed that you guys were having good battles on this very massive track. And we actually have a couple guys waiting for an interview. I don't know if
Yep.
you want to head on to that, TJ.
Yep. Well, we're going to jump over to that here as Jeremiah Sarthe comes across in ninth position. I think Franklin Edwards is probably super low on fuel. That's why he's just puttering along. But we're going to watch Mark Blizzard here take the checker flag, and then we will jump to our pro winner, Matt Stallcup, who is in the interview booth, and we will see how he managed to just walk away from the whole field here as we see Mark Blizzard making his way across the finish line, 10th in the AM class. So let's go ahead and bring in Matt Stallcup. Matt, congratulations on your win in the pro class. You seem to be in a league of your own there as you just kind of walked away from the whole field. How was this track in this car? How did you do it? Matt, you are muted.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, Matt. You were muted for some reason. Did you hear what I said, asking how you did in the car? Go ahead.
That pace was a surprise for me. I, in practice, was running 50s and was happy to see a 49. And in qualifying, my first lap was a 48, and I just parked it. So, really, I was going to be my worst enemy there in that race. And it sounded like there was a little bit of contact with Andrew behind, but I was a little worried about fuel strategy with our limited tank, and we still ended up doing 2 pit stops.
Yeah, that was something that surprised us, obviously, with this track being so enormous. Hey, we got to do one more lap. That's not a small amount of fuel. That's a huge amount of fuel. So we saw everyone dive in for the second time, and we figured out, oh my goodness, the track's so big that they have to do another splash and dash to make it through. But once again, with Andrew dropping out after the second incident that he had, you just kind of walked away with the win. What was the most challenging portion of the circuit for you in the GTE car?
The most challenging, I think, was Indy, because it really invites you in super fast, and then as soon as you get on the brakes hard, it snaps. So you really got to treat the car nice through there.
Sure.
And coming in with 10 less mile an hour will actually leave you with 10 more mile an hour. So that part of the track was really a trap for me. And like I said, I was going to be my own worst enemy, so I just needed to keep the car clean and try and break the draft, and I feel like I did that early.
All right. Well, do you have any shout-outs that you would like to say as the winner of the pro class this evening?
I'd like to shout out RBS Racing, Rusty Benson, Josh Rolt, and myself.
Absolutely. That's Matt Stallcup, your pro class winner for tonight. Congratulations to you, sir.
Thank you guys very much.
All right. Just want to move you back. So we'll move him back out. And then let's see. I see a Where's My 20, but I'm not sure who that is. We'll bring in Nate Halstick. Actually, we'll bring in Blaze Sheed, who finished out. We'll talk to him about that fight with Kyle Shook. Blaze, congratulations on your third place finish. We were watching that fight with Kyle Shook there on the last 2 laps. That was super exciting. How was it from your point of view?
Oh, it was a lot of fun. I kept on making so many mistakes, though. Tried to save a little bit of fuel. it helped us some, but overall is a great race.
Yeah, so we noticed towards the end of the session, a couple of the drivers, it looked like they were, the cars were starting to wash out on them, oversteer here, understeer there. Was tire degradation a problem for you guys out there?
I had some trouble with it, yes. It got real sliding in the rear end of the car.
Sure. Well, congratulations to you for coming in third place in the pro class and beating out Kyle Shook, who definitely gave you a rear view mirror full of his car. And watching you two battle was absolutely fantastic. Blaze, do you have any shout outs that you'd like to do tonight?
I would just like to shout out my family and thank them because they're the reason I can do this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Blaze. That is your third place final podium points position in the pro class. Blaze Sheed, congratulations to him. Els, we're going to bring in Nate Hallistick if you would like to ask him a couple questions. He came in second in the AM class. I'll introduce him and you take it away. Nate Hallistick.
They forgot that I'm him.
Nice introduction, sir. Nate Hallistick. No problem at all. Nate Hallistick, your second place finisher in the AM class. Els, go ahead and let's ask him a few questions about his race.
Nate Hallistick, how you doing this evening?
I'm pretty good, man.
Glad to have you here. Congratulations on, I believe it's your second place?
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It was a good time. I enjoyed it.
What were some of the challenges you had on tonight's course?
I'm gonna just say not dying, pretty much. It was pretty sketchy. I really don't like this track very much. It's 100% like a mad cause bad thing. I'm just not very experienced on it, and still getting comfortable with this car. So there's a lot of areas there where I'm just really uncomfortable. But yeah, I just managed to kind of keep it under control, find a measured pace, manage the gaps, and just cruise, man.
Just cruising. You put on a very good fight, but we were actually surprised to see a splash and dash at the end there. Were you also surprised, or were you already prepared for that?
Yeah. No, I was surprised. I was I was sitting there about halfway through after the first pit stop, and I'm looking down. I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna make it to the end here. I'm trying to like do the math in my head and try to manage my tires and keep an eye on the gaps and where I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna make it to the end. I think if I had realized it, maybe after the start of after the first pit stop, if I'd have figured it out, like, okay, I think I could have fuel saved a little bit, maybe made it to the end, but yeah, I don't know, it'd have been tough. By the time I figured it out, it was pretty much too late.
All right. And is there any shout outs, any sponsors, anybody that you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, of course. Shout out to my boys over at Savage Sim Racing. We out here doing this for y'all, man.
Definitely. Well, congrats to you once again, and you have a wonderful night.
Hey, you too, man. Thanks, guys.
All right, that was Nate Hallistick, your second place finisher in the AM class. So we're going to pull this guy in. It says, "Where's my 20?" I'm not sure who that is, but we'll give them an ask and see what goes on with that. Hi, welcome. Your Discord name says, "Where's my 20?" Who are you?
You're right.
Who are we speaking with?
Michael Rhodes.
Michael Rhodes. Okay. Congratulations, Michael Rhodes, at finishing this track. This was not an easy track. Second place in the pro class, nothing to sneeze at. What was the problem areas around the track for you? I mean, you coming in second place, obviously an absolutely awesome result, but where did you find the challenges on this famed circuit?
It has to be the Porsche curves. On a low downforce track like this and in a mid-engine car, it's a little bit hard to just keep it stable without either sliding out or having the rear kick out on you, especially as you start to apply the power going back into it.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. We were just talking about the throughout the race, we were talking about the duality of the track with all the long straights and then the high-speed corners in the second portion of the track. And it was really quite amazing to see so many people keep it on the track, because I know it's challenging in this car. I'm going to ask the same question that Els and we asked a couple other people. Were you surprised that you had to do a second pit stop?
Yeah.
We were too. We were wondering if there were some drive-through penalties that had to be done, and then we saw everyone stop for 2 seconds at the stall and drive away, and we're going, oh goodness, because if you have to do one more lap here, it's over 8 miles. You got to get more fuel. So, I mean, you still came back. Yeah, you came back out in second and took the P2 for the pro class. So huge congratulations to that. Any shout outs that you would like to give?
Nate Hollistick.
Part of Savage Sim Racing. I see that on your Discord tag there.
That I am, yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Shout out the dude I'm associated with.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you for racing. Congratulations at your P2 in the pro class.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, that is all the drivers for interviews tonight. Els, any last thoughts before we close it out?
Man, I'm so glad I didn't jump into this race, man, because I would not have survived. The ABS I would have embarrassed myself, man. These guys are really putting on the show. Dakota Knapp, definitely a creative person. I mean, he is a creative person to even come up with these different strategies and surprises that come into the race by just setting up the session. So shout out to Dakota Knapp and the KCRL league and the team over there. TJ, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'm actually the exact opposite of you. I wish I could have raced in this one. I just love this circuit so much. I put in a huge amount of laps into it, so I know it kind of like the back of my hand, but it would have been super challenging in this car, but also super rewarding to get right. So thank you, Els, for everything tonight. I enjoyed another great broadcast with you. But that's going to conclude our coverage of round 3 of the Kansas City Racing League presented by DLB Precision. Huge thanks to all the drivers who participated and to Dakota and his crew for putting on this league. I'm TJ Yankee.
And I'm Lesean Young-Dilworth.
And that is going to conclude our broadcast tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned for the next broadcast next week on Odyssey Motorsports TV.